What if everything you think you know about the world's most watched sporting event is only half the story? Because behind every World Cup final, behind every iconic goal, every tearful victory, every childhood dream come true, there are decisions made in darkened hotel rooms, envelopes of cash changing hands, and voices silenced forever. And today, we are going to explore a question that millions of football fans around the world have wondered. Chatrain, but few have dared to ask out loud. What is the dark secret behind the FIFA World Cup? The FIFA World Cup is the most watched sporting event on the planet. Over 5 billion people tuned in to the 2022 tournament in Qatar. It is a celebration of human skill, national pride, and collective joy. Children grow up dreaming of one day playing on that stage. Nations pause. Wars have been known to temporarily halt. But behind the spectacle, behind the gleaming trophies and sold-out stadiums, sits an organization with a history so dark, so deeply corrupt, that when the truth finally came out, it shocked even the most cynical observers on Earth. FIFA grew from a handful of countries in 1904 into a body with 201 member associations by the 2020s, more than even the United Nations, which has 193. That global reach gave FIFA something extraordinary, near total control over the world's most popular sport. And where there is unchecked power, corruption finds a way in. May 27, 2015. A luxury hotel in Zurich, Switzerland. Plainclothes police move quietly through the corridors, then the knock on the door. Before long, an unprecedented U.S. probe of what prosecutors described as rampant, systemic, deep-rooted bribery burst into public view, erupting into the biggest corruption scandal in modern sports history. Near the end of May 2015, 14 people were indicted by the United States Department of Justice, charged with wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. These were not low-level employees. These were the men who ran global football. The Justice Department documented over $150 million in bribes and kickbacks paid to FIFA officials. The investigation found evidence of bribery dating back to the 1990s, spanning broadcasting rights, merchandise deals, sponsorship contracts, and the votes that decided where the World Cup would be held. As U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch put it, they were expected to uphold the rules that keep soccer honest. Instead, they corrupted the business of worldwide soccer to enrich themselves. At the center of it all stood Sepp Blatter, FIFA president for 17 years. A man who cultivated an image of a statesman of sport. FIFA president Sepp Blatter, who had long been a polarizing figure, resigned under mounting pressure. Michel Platini, once seen as Blatter's natural heir, was also implicated, further eroding trust in football's governing body. An inquiry revealed that Blatter and his Secretary General Jerome Valcke had signed off on each other's pay and bonuses. Together with another top official, the three had collectively rewarded themselves with sums amounting to $80 million. And the corruption didn't stop at the top. Former FIFA president João Havelange and Brazilian Football Confederation president Ricardo Teixeira were found to have taken bribes worth millions. FIFA Executive Committee member Manuel Fernando was handed a lifetime ban. This was not a few bad apples. This was the orchard itself. Perhaps the most explosive dimension of the scandal was this. The World Cup itself, the most coveted prize in sport, was allegedly for sale. Central to the 2015 scandal were accusations of bribery connected to the hosting rights for Russia and Qatar. According to documents obtained by the Sunday Times, Qatar's state-run broadcaster secretly offered $400 million to FIFA. Just 21 days before Qatar was announced as the host, an additional $100 million was documented as part of a deal that would only be paid if Qatar was selected. Qatar denied everything. FIFA eventually cleared them, but the questions never fully went away. But there is a layer to this story that goes deeper than money. Far deeper. And it involves lives. When Qatar was awarded the 2022 World Cup in 2010, it embarked on one of the most ambitious construction programs in history. And it needed workers. A primary concern was the conditions of migrant workers brought in to build the infrastructure. Under Qatar's kafala system, a visa sponsorship arrangement that gave employers enormous power over workers who could not leave the country. A 2021 investigation by The Guardian found that at least 6,500 migrant workers died during the construction of venues and infrastructure. Some ruled as workplace accidents, others as suicides. Qatar later admitted that 400 to 500 workers had died. Rights groups said the true number was far higher. The families were never properly informed or compensated. FIFA earned a record $7.5 billion in revenue from the 2022 tournament. Yet the organization failed to commit its $100 million legacy fund to compensate families. Think about that. 5 billion people watched. And the men who built those stadiums, with their hands in the desert heat, were largely forgotten before the opening whistle even blew. 10 years after the Zurich arrests, the question is a sobering one. Has anything changed? A recent report concluded that FIFA didn't fix the structural flaws that ultimately led U.S. authorities to intervene in the first place. Former U.S. law enforcement officials say that what has changed is that things are quiet. There is no longer a steady drumbeat of enraging allegations. A recent report concluded that FIFA didn't fix the structural flaws that ultimately led U.S. authorities to intervene in the first place. Former U.S. law enforcement officials say that what has changed is that things are quiet. There is no longer a steady drumbeat of enraging allegations. The FIFA World Cup remains one of the most extraordinary things human beings do together. The football itself, the skill, the drama, the emotion, is real. The joy of billions of fans is real. But so is the corruption. So are the votes that were bought. So are the families who never got a phone call telling them their father, their brother, their son had died building a stadium they would never watch a game in. The beautiful game deserves better. It deserves a governing body as honest as the sport it claims to protect. And as FIFA pushes forward, expanding the World Cup, awarding tournaments, generating billions more, the real question isn't whether the World Cup will survive.